So, hello everybody, and welcome back to some WARNO League action, as we're closing in on Season 2, but for closing in on that, we have to close Season 1 first, and that's what we're gonna do here today, with the Stealth versus Tonnoman. Another Grand Final, this time from Division 4. They have fought a lot of freshmen here to get here, and they come in with some hot picks nonetheless. It's on the previous build, obviously. And yeah, it's Tonnoman here on this left side with 82nd, the Stealth with 82nd versus Tonnoman on the right side with 4th. Pretty aggressive and quite interesting matchup for Vertigo, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, generally Vertigo, considering its long engagement ranges and the three-lane approach, which will allows you to create these situations in which you can pretty safely engage stuff on max range with tanks without being afraid of getting side shot. At least in the late game after you have secured all your flanks. So it tends to lean in on the heavier and slower mechanized and armored divisions. But in this case, we're seeing the airborne forward deployment go against the East German Special Forces forward deployment. And very peculiarly, Tonnoman here seems to be relying on the PKM machine gun teams, buying a full card of them, I think, to provide fire support in right at the opener. I like this in general, but I can't imagine using these things outside of buildings against airborne units in buildings. I just think that they don't have the 3 health is not enough to survive, not even with a vet up against the standard American infantry squads. And so I think there has to be something else coming here, something other than the SPWs and something other than the helicopter, because otherwise the infantry fights going 1-to-1 will be just won by stealth.
Yeah, the 7.6 millimeters are quite interesting. We have a lot of airborne engineers here on the other side and some airbornes. Classic infantry here. Dragon obviously still with its deadly long range. That got changed last patch, today in today's patch. And yeah, we have good AA against helicopter usually as well. For 82nd, they have Stingers, they have the Avenger as well potentially. So I feel like playing into the Mi-24D as 4th would be the wrong choice. But it's quite hard because you want to use your helicopters, you want to use your aircraft as 4th, but both aren't easy to play against F-15s and then also good anti-helicopter AA on the ground. So how would you play it as 4th here? Would you go into a T-55 ball, or like what is the solution here in this fight?
I would not try to challenge the infantry opener. I would try to lean in on the heavier aspects of fourth, having the tanks, having the coups, having even a certain amount of IFVs, if you can call BMP ones that. I would completely forfeit the opener and immediately after defensive opening try to move myself into heavy air defense, heavy artillery, heavy tank blobs, because that's something that 82nd can't do. If you fight 82nd on the 82nd terms, close range, early game, infantry fights, that's when you're just gonna get owned. Even with the very good special forces units, you're more likely to get owned than if you play slower, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Scaling is one of the most powerful tools in this game. Understanding how these divisions play, if you allow them to build up compared to if they are forced to fight in the opener.
Also, for everybody who hasn't followed the World League too much, it's split into 4 divisions based on skill level, and this is Division 4. This is the new players on the block, players that haven't had any tournament experience in WARNO before, and Tonnoman being known from Steel Division 2 though, but pretty new to WARNO at the beginning of the season. Both players, having played quite a bit since then though, have improved and have beaten some other strong rookies on the way here. TheStealth in a super close fought match against Jacob, for example, in the semifinals, where it went all the way to game number 5. So yeah, they came here off a really strong season and already have qualified for Division 3 next season, but they want to win this thing here now, hold the Division 4. And it's gonna be interesting to see how they will adapt. It's always a bit different to what you see on the top level, but that's the refreshing part. That's why I love casting these games, because it's not quite as forced down by the meta as the top level.
Yeah, there are there are kind of skill checks in WARNO dealing with the certain kinds of rush and all-in tactics are skill checks. Being able to micro your radar anti-air to counter siege planes, that's a skill check. Being able to micro tanks against other tanks, it's a certain kind of a skill check also. But when people play on the lower levels, they are playing well. They are just playing within the considerations of their own skill level. And not everybody has the time to spend 8 hours a day in Twitch watching these games to learn precisely how the units and divisions interact with each other. And the few of us who do that will become esports casters.
And we have Strelas coming up here, 7.6 millimeters coming around as well. We have the Hind flying in as the action is going on. One LAV in the north, and a lot more forces for stealth in the south than for Tonno. Tonno really playing here hard for the center and the north. That will allow the stealth most likely to tick here in the beginning. But obviously the north is often where this map is won by now. So will be interesting to see if stealth can hold on there. But so far, pretty defensive setup here. Pride Tonno leaving the +3 already to the opponent, as no CVs here on the battlefield outside of the one SPW in the north, and that one failed to capture the rear. And yeah, that's the first little mistake there already, though hopefully gets recognized soon, as that leaves the enemy with a lot better take than it should be. Ooh, F-16 coming in. Getting a lot of damage, but luckily for it, Strelas with their 4 damage not able to kill it, so leaving it with 2 hit points on the way out here.
Yeah, so Tonnoman's attack on the middle actually succeeded very well, with both with the helicopter surviving the single shot and the machine gun teams doing good fire supremacy damage. But the most important reason why that push won was because the stealth invested 5 infantry squads and a stinger to go down south, and Tonnoman did not contest the south in any way. So these extra troops were able to capture the citadel in the middle, but now Tonnoman immediately needs to start exploiting this, allowing this situation to keep going on, even when you scale badly. Even when you scale better, I mean, you will allow this moment to go unexploited. This would be the time when Tonnoman starts keeps going on immediately and does not wait for the heavier equipment to land.
Yeah, a lot of kills here on the infantry, just using the sheer power of numbers by having more guns firing at the enemy, and by that getting better trades because you have more DPS output against less DPS output on the other side. Stealth should have avoided taking any fights here in the north completely, but tried to push forward and got punished for it quite hard, with basically next to nothing left up there, though at the same time securing the south decently, as Tonno did suicide a couple units in there. Nothing major there though, whilst in the center the losses that Stealth took were quite heavy, and investment into ground on Tonnoman's side against investment into air on the other side leaves Tonno with more units on the battlefield right now as well. F-16 getting a hit on SPW, that's not worth a lot though, and the F-16 gets damaged by the coup, will be out for a long time here before it can come back into the action.
Yeah, so far the reinforcements that are coming in for the stealth have been routed to be in the southwest corner of the zone, already understanding that the momentum and the position has probably been lost. Now that the Tonnoman's infantry are moving up there, Tonnoman's infantry are also covered by the 2 coups, which already managed to hurt the F-16 LGB plane. Interestingly, Tonnoman is investing a bunch of troops to attack down south at Charlie, which is it's a good idea, I think, if you have the momentum, because your enemy is going to be scrambling to fortify these to fortify these areas and to prevent a breakthrough. So kind of starting to stretch your enemy up, forcing, even if you're not going to push through, it's very difficult to push through large infantry squads, especially when they have the pre-patch dragons defending them. But if you can micro a helicopter, if you can micro some artillery, you can create a lot of problems to your enemy that it's going to stretch their ability to control their units and micro.
Yeah, Fallschirmjägers now pushing in the north, trying to find the entrance already. MiG-23 coming in for the engineer leaders there. That would be a good kill. They seem to be able to dodge though. Yeah, TOW 2 has to be careful there though. It might not be able to get that far. Good reaction there by the stealth, getting in some helicopters as well. But the anti-helicopter setup here on Tonnoman, really strong. Obviously knowing that helicopters and aircraft are one of the best tools in the tool set of 82nd. So having a lot of Strelas out there, having double coup in the rear already as well. So these are limited in their use case right now. But we still have a +2 here for the stealth. And we get a decent amount of units here now in the north again, whilst Tonno took a couple of losses there in the push and is really investing into a push in the south right now. And I'm not sure if this is enough to push into some pretty well entrenched forces of the stealth here through the open field. The Mi-8 MT UPK is a good investment there though. That might be the unit to do it, as there's no AA on the side of the stealth.
Yeah, you need to break through a single infantry squad, and the 2 supporting vehicles and the 3 squads can probably break through like 1.5 on long range, as long as I mean, the Sprengtaugers are and FS Jaegers are heavily armed special forces, so they compensate a little bit for the disadvantage of attacking fortified positions. But the law taking out a Fallschirmjäger while it was still transporting up north, there was an unfortunate loss there. Stealth managing the micro and control defenses back up there, but in the coups taking out an F-16 like the breakfast. I think Tonnoman here has a massive amount of points settled in defending the citadel into the middle, and I think if the earlier attack had gone in conjunction with a flank attack from the citadel, having like half of these units move up and just keep going, I think the point would be Tonnoman's right now. But
so it's really hard to push with these units as well, as they are all really flimsy and not that fast units as well. It's all 3-man or 2-man squadrons, so pushing through the open of them, always a bit risky, easy to bomb, easy to hit with some IFV, like LAV, easy to hit with even just a bit more infantry in cover that can trade with them.
It's true, but there were like 2 units there. It was the limits. It was such a small amount that actually.
Yeah, sure, but it still always feels a bit wrong pushing with MGs and ATGM teams without protection. At the same time, though, the Coups really having a good day here. Killing off another F4F, killing off an ATAS as well. We have the push in the south, still moving on. Engineer leaders at least defending against it, but a couple of units going down there as well, thanks to the Mi-8 MT. No AA here around for stealth. And yeah, stealth investing a bit more into the north, but the aircraft losses here are big. Flying AA fighters without even engaging anything into the enemy Coups, that is a loss that you just can't afford. Just losing them without even trading against anything, not even pushing anything away. That's really, really pricey, especially as F-15s and the F4Fs aren't the cheapest planes either. And that, if those units would be on the ground right now, I think the balance would be quite good right now, actually, for the stealth. But with these losses in the air, the situation in the south just lacks combined arm, lacks AA, lacks ATGMs, and that is getting punished by Tonnoman here right now.
Yeah, the down south miss-micro by Tonnoman allowed the stealth to keep going for longer, but there's nothing to deal with the UPK. And the Tonnoman's Fallschirmjägers actually started moving from the citadel and taking these positions, but now they're doing it after the reinforcements are in. Now their only ability here will be to try to capture and threaten the reinforcement route, try to maybe take out the airborne dragons that are straight west from the citadel, try to maybe engage these stingers and hold up some kind of pressure, but going 1v1 with the reinforcements here is going to be a bad trade, especially because the Fallschirmjägers are pushing so far that their machine guns can't support them.
It also getting hit by airbornes, that are in full cover, so but they still were out in the open. The airborne dragons on the side in the north also getting some Sicherungs directly in transport. That's fantastic trades here right now for the stealth. Tonnoman though coming in with more planes, and the stealth really mismicroing the fighters earlier gets punished quite hard here with these MiGs. Like, you never should let them loiter in the front line. And now the MiG-29 trying to come around. ATAS though showing its prowess there, using its stingers to actually win that airfight. Getting hit now by some Strelas, so it still needs to disengage, but at least getting the kill on the MiG-29, that is quite helpful. But now we see the late game scaling coming online here with ARM-70s, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, so far, Tonnoman really after the massive advantage in units in the middle, the momentum was lost. The stealth was, after getting good trades and almost getting into the position, stealth was already deploying troops defensively, but there wasn't enough speed, violence, and force of action that was lacking from the push here. And likely because of the extra micro necessary for Tonnoman to try to both threaten both of the southern positions. Tonnoman sent a Sicherungs and destroyed a TOW2 with an artillery piece, which is a nice little bonus here. But so far, they haven't really been able to gain permanent control of anything except the southern position of Charlie.
So the miserable situation of anything flying on the side of stealth did continue. The ATAS and the TOW Cobra both getting shut down by the same Strela 2M, which by now is on max 3 veterancy, just based on those kills alone. And that is not something that you should let happen. The units there just loitering around, getting shot time and again instead of disengaging, as obviously stealth currently focused on the north here to get the micro right, but without those helicopters you lack the punching power that you need as 82nd to retake a position and threaten maybe even the enemy rear and things like that. Like, if you can get air superiority with fighters and you can just fly around the coops with your helicopters, you could even threaten the artillery park quite nicely. But that is now not an opportunity anymore, and that will mean that these ARM-70s just can fire away time and again, and it will be really hard to balance against that.
Yeah, at this point, I'd say that, I mean, there is a T-55 AM2 here, but I'd say this 13 minutes in, after these infantry fights have kind of been going, give or take, this would be the time for Tonnoman to finally start bringing out heavy amounts of tanks before the TOW2 lines and the TOW2 cars and all of these are permanently brought out. To harden all of these positions. This would be the time to start exploiting the advantage. But the artillery here and with the Mi-8 UPKs is not bad either. Both of the artillery and the helicopters are pretty good at taking out large infantry squads on long range, especially if they're fortified in buildings. So, and Tonnoman can keep on trading Sicherungs and infantry units against more expensive airborne.
Yes, and also these MiG-23s continuously coming in, getting damage. That's something that, if the F-15s and F-4Fs would have been microed better, could have been avoided, but with the situation being as it is, losing those expensive infantry units, even a leader to those MiG-23s, really costs you quite a lot here, especially as they never get shut down, so they just come around another time later and get more rewards there. We have another ATAS coming around, but the Strela Forest here is pretty scary, so not too sure if it can achieve much up there. I feel like the spread and the mobility that stealth needs is not really set up here well, as you want to avoid the enemy strong points of AA, but the helicopters and planes mostly flew towards that instead of being used, for example, in the south, where the AA of Tonnoman is basically non-existent. The AA gets to get a shot off every time because the F-16s and the helicopters all come in the north, and this is getting punished here pretty hard right now. Stealth trying to hold on, has 700 points on the bar. That's quite nice, but it's still a good amount of time here to be played, so holding on to this for any time longer here for sure will be tough.
Yeah, I mean, so far, so 700 points is nice, but for 25 minutes, it's nothing. If you look, if you zoom back, you can see that the delta position has been put into like a a full concave. It can be assaulted from any position. There are already 2 recon units come from the northeast and south side of the industrial area. And as long as and as long as Tonnoman keeps microing his artillery against the frankly a bit weak but high veterancy counter battery coming from the 105mm airborne howitzers, as long as the artillery advantage can be kept, this concave will mean that the airborne can be picked out as soon as a recon unit spots them. And it's very difficult to try to defend even an urban area from from an envelopment. You don't have the mobility to really counter it if you're in buildings.
Yeah, we see Me Too's coming around. We have some Fallschirmjägers and Fallschirmjäger Medis sitting around in the south. Ooh, finding an Avenger there as well. That is big, because that's one of the best AA pieces that Stealth gets. Can deal with planes pretty nicely as well, thanks to its rapid fire. So losing it there means that helicopters and planes on the side of Tonnoman will be more effective. Meanwhile, up north, 40mm and airborne flash trying to push forward, but Tonno on the +2 already, and that is setting up Tonno for success in the long run here. 40mm grenade launcher trying to come around, trying to get some kills as well. We'll see if they can do something, but everything is kind of caught out in the open. And there's SBWs as well, ARM 70s coming in, finishing the job. And the KD here currently not looking so hot for the Stealth.
Yeah, the Stealth attack down south completely done. No reinforcements have been brought to defend the industrial area at Delta, mostly because the points are needed to on other fronts. If Tonnoman overextends and tries to really go hard against the backpoint Charlie, that's going to be one thing. But even then, I think it could actually make it. There's no infantry squads there right now. And the infantry squad that is coming is going to be a single airborne dragon. Just the numerical advantage, as long as the as long as the threatening positions are fired at with the RM70s, one of which is actually ready to fire, and the artillery, which is also ready to fire. I think Tonnoman is in a very, very strong position here.
MiG-23 is getting another hit here, getting shut down at least this time around, but it would have been way easier if the planes would actually, if the fighters actually would have been used here. F-16 gets the kill onto the coop, should have been used maybe in this consideration earlier as well, as we saw a lot of investment into the air in this by Stealth, but that was all not used so well, and with the coops obviously being a given on the other side as well, I feel like mixing in a seaplane there could really have done a lot. Instead, the MiG-23s here continue their bombing runs, and this time around will get shut down by the F-16 at least. But that one is forced home as well, and the bombing run still did some damage here. Artillery pieces going down, and it's going to be really, really hard here to recover from this for the Stealth.
Yeah, it's not that difficult to use these max speed transports to reinforce the backpoint Charlie. It's a heavily fortifiable and position in which you can keep feeding airborne, and they can the width of the attack is so small that singular units can do a lot of damage. But even then, you're not even if you can keep that up, you're not really doing anything with it. The troops that you are using to hold Tonnoman back are currently not being used to fortify the other position that Tonnoman is currently attacking. For some reason, sending an OH-58 command helicopter.
And we have another ARM 70 strike here now to the south. There is not that much to exploit it with yet, though at the same time the trades in the north continue going into the favor of Tonnoman, taking out a Sheridan, taking out an Avenger once more, and yeah, those just really hurt. And I feel like losing the aircraft early on really did what was what did the snowball here. The strike aircraft getting damaged, so they were out for a while, and then the fighters that could have stopped the MiG-23s otherwise just getting absolutely smacked without achieving anything. And I believe the rest of the ground fights here per se didn't go so badly. Like, trades were quite even, but due to the MiG-23, it kind of snowballed, and that was never achieved here by the stealth.
Yeah, the F-15, the F-15s meant that when it came to even winning or going even with the fights on the ground, the F-15s meant that the overall points advantage on the board was always going to be in Tonnoman's favor. And when you have more points on the board, it's quite difficult for your opponent to start getting any breakthroughs or any tactical victories, especially when they open up the game by capturing the most strategic middle fortifications on the map.
Yeah, we see Sheridan still trying to hold out, getting gunned down though by the way stronger T-55s. T-55s here really the heaviest of equipment in this matchup. Well, it's more using units moving in the south, Arm 70 firing once more, and it seems like the stealth will get pushed out here soon. Tonnoman going up even further as there's not much holding this town.
RM-70 is not killing anybody, actually, surprisingly, but the UPK goes now and tries to finish the job. There's only a single stinger here, and these airborne engineers and airborne dragons most likely are going to get rushed by the SPWs, which will try to get into there. No, they're not going under their 350-meter minimum range. The dragon can't keep firing.
Or
Tragedy of a
couldn't keep
maximum scale
firing at
here.
least. Minimum range having been changed to 175 with the next patch.
Okay, well that's
But
nice. I was actually thinking about that earlier.
yeah, Fallschirmjäger's pushing in north against the airbornes as well, trying to get into the action. I guess you didn't watch my tutorial video done on the
Okay. I watched it last night, but also I fell asleep, so I don't remember.
yeah. The minimum range has been changed together with the maximum range being reduced. The minimum range has been reduced to 175, so they can fire in forests again. So yeah, it's not a full-on nerf. It's still a nerf in the complete sense, but it might be even just a side crate more so. Seed coming in the north, finally doing some damage. Yeah, not using the seed earlier was a big mistake. Now the F-16s and so on can come in here, can come in with the bombing run. But that's what should have been done earlier, and the seed needs to get out of there. Might go down here now. Okay, will survive for another day. But the +2 for Tonnoman is real, and the whole north still under siege. MiG-23 gets another bombing run off, and that might be devastating. It gets a good couple of hits at least. Gets killed off by the F-15. That's what we should have seen the whole time, though. Kills like that, and then the MiG-23s would be out already, and the situation here would be a lot easier for stealth, but instead the CV in the south goes down, T-52AM2 already coming up, and that would be +4 situation here for the stealth with still easy 17 minutes remaining.
Yeah, this game has been over for some time, considering that as the attack happened on Delta, no reinforcements were sent there. Delta was completely abandoned all throughout this offensive by Tonnoman. All of the resources went in to try to keep the back point from being assaulted, and that's a very smart tactic. I personally like doing that. I think it's a good idea to have the enemy spend resources in a reasonably advantageous fight that is not strategically advantageous. On this map, the middle fights can be boondoggles as the enemy invests, or in on airport. There are the two towers areas in the town which doesn't have any points but has a lot of strategic areas. All of these can be exploited by divisions with uh, enough sacrificial infantry to keep up some kind of a combat which will keep the enemy sending in units to counter your units, but opening the map for further developments with on the sidelines.
Yeah, and we have the Strelas and Cope trying to push up north. The Strelas getting caught there. As we have a couple of Sheridans again, but Tunnel is about to overtake the lead, and pushing late game with 82nd is really hard, especially without air superiority. Like, if you have air superiority, you might be able to grind there, you might be able to push through, but without either aircraft superiority or at least helicopter superiority, it's going to be tough to achieve that here. And I'm not quite sure what can be the plan here right now for the stealth, as there might just not be much left here to do.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that the position from which the 82nd is attacking is completely horrendous. The Metises hold the other flank with the support of the Fagots and the Strelas. The forest is filled with close quarters pioneers troops and Motorschützen, and behind everything you have some close range air defense and a bunch of tanks. So any kind of attempt to move in with massed infantry it's gonna be it's gonna take a long time for that massed infantry to actually get to start shooting something. So that is why overtly investing into the defense of the back point can be a problem, because you can't leave the back point. Very difficult to leave the back point.
Yeah.
Forces
F-15 and
moving.
Phantom at least getting the air superiority against the MiG-23s here a bit, but there is not enough strike aircraft left here to really punish the enemy afterwards. Coop out of ammo, Strelas in the north a bit out of ammo as well, they need a reload, but there is no infantry units here left outside of a couple of Sheridans, nothing to really do a push, and the Southern situation is on a lockdown as well in this best of 5. So it seems like Tonnoman on a good way here to a 1-0 lead with a best of 5. There will be enough time for Stealth to come back. In general, it feels like Stealth not quite ready for this aggressive and really tricky orientated playstyle that 82nd needed. Like, we didn't see much of that in here, so I hope we might see them on more stable classic units afterwards. Division afterwards, as 82nd just didn't really seem to click here, at least not in this game.
Yeah, having your offensive base be like there's an LAV Sheridan Avenger with a infantry squad. This is a standard unit group. When you do the standard group of one tank, one AA, one recon vehicle, but do it on 82nd, it's not gonna be that great because you have literally no armor. The Sheridan doesn't count, it's got 3 front armor.
Yeah, Sheridan and Airborne Dragon here under fire in the north. And they all getting destroyed as well. There's the Arm 70, just continue their fighter. The 105mm also not great at counter batterying. That's what they have been used for here. That should not be done with this unit. Not having the most damage, and it can be dodged quite easily on the other side, whilst itself can't dodge that well, so the enemy can counter battery you actually quite easily, and the Arm 70 can just rotate around, and you don't really do any damage. You want to get 105mm with the really high accuracy on frontline units. That's where they are pretty good. Not so much in the long range action.
Yeah, I think the 2 upvetted howitzers is a nice play, considering you get like 14-second aim time, so you can do you can use them smartly, and you can use them, for instance, against enemy units that are moving, because of the large salvo length and the short aiming time. On close range, you could get some direct hits and kill infantry squads. But that's not what what they've been used here for. And the infantry just running through to the little birds, running through the Sheridans. Yeah, Tonnoman is just keeping this fight up for the sake of keeping the fight up, because as long as the fight is going up, he's on +4.
Yeah, little birds here now trying to do some damage, but they will get gunned down. T-55 AM2 KR coming in here to try to move in. The F-16 not able to... Oh, dropping actually onto the Strela instead, but not even hitting that, as it lost line of sight before, just after or just before the bomb dropped, and then didn't get the connection there. +6 situation here now, about to go into a +8, and this is pretty irrecoverable here for the stealth in game 1. Like, it's literally only a handful of units remaining on the battlefield. And yeah, this just went horribly wrong from the get-go. And it really went wrong when the aircraft were thrown away, as you just can't afford that in the playstyle that 82nd wants to bring to the board,
Yeah,
both in the offense
overinvestment.
and the defense.
Yeah, overinvestment into the southern area allowed Tonnoman to expect this and to counterplay. The the units that started up by holding the south should have been like 2 recon units, and rest of them should have been going to the more hot zones on the middle. If you want to contest the middle, you want to contest it hard. You don't want to contest it a little bit, because if your enemy contests it hard, then you lose your stuff. Like that's it's that simple. There could have been a helicopter rush. You could have that risks the enemy having Strelas. There could have been bombers if you run them with 82nd. There could have been just more massed infantry, but there were a couple of expensive infantry squads. And as you said about the losing the early mid-game air advantage completely and almost voluntarily, that there was no coming back from that. Though
Yeah,
Tonnoman did make some mistakes, Tonnoman could have been a bit more aggressive at certain positions. Tonnoman could have taken a few better engagements, but after the artillery started getting on board, and after the air killing all the aircraft meant that the natural advantage of the game was going to move. Uh, that the natural advantage of the scaling was going to move in Tonnoman's favor. By that point, the few lost engagements didn't really matter.
yeah, and we have now TheStealth losing game number 1 here to Tonnoman in this best of 5, though. Nothing has been decided with that, but Tonno taking a 1-0 lead here with a pretty clean fashion. Fourth, once more showing itself as the kind of counter to other forward deploy divisions, with it just having that slight bit more pref and being able to play from a more defensive position. Really well played there by Tonno. And yeah, that gets us into a short break, guys, as we're going to be back with game number 2 right after. Yeah, really good kills here by the Medis as well. But that was at a moment where the game was kind of over anyways already. And yeah, really well played with the ARM 70s as well.
Yeah, the looking forward to getting. I mean, the I think stealth. We've seen stealth play earlier, and is not a bad player. But I think the Hail Mary of going 82nd on Vertigo, most likely because they expect their opponent to play a slow heavy division, and then getting straight up hard countered by fourth moto can't be especially if you're not really that comfortable playing airborne. That's not a good situation to be in. But maybe against the 119th or something, it could have worked out very well.
Yeah, so we're gonna see what's coming up next. Quick break, guys. Then we're gonna be back with game number 2. Okay, here we go. Game number 2, TheStealth versus Tonnoman. And it's gonna be quite the aggressive startup from TheStealth as well. This time though, with the 11th ACAF and a bit more staying power behind it, against the slow but steady 27th on the other side. Before we go in though, a quick shout out, guys, to the WARNO Swiss Championship coming up this weekend. It's a 2v2 tournament, Swiss format, with the new patch around. It is the perfect moment to get your friend for a bit of WARNO action on the weekend. We have 24 teams signed up already, and so it will be packed. It's a Swiss format style, so you play 5 rounds no matter what. You won't get eliminated. You will play against other teams that have similar standings than you had in the previous rounds. So it's kind of matchmaking itself as well. So you will have good games there, and you will be able to play against Chloride as well in there potentially. So
Yeah,
and there's a prize pool involved via Metrino as well. Currently still pretty low, but we will see where we can get there. Currently sitting at $31. We can get free prize money in there once more via Metrino. So yeah, let's see where we can get there. Sign up if you're interested. Still slots open. Sign up ends in 2 days. It will run from the whole afternoon till like early night on Saturday European time, like, and then like early morning until like early afternoon for everybody on the West Coast and the US. And you Asian people, I'm a bit sorry, but it's on Saturday, so you might be able to play late at night as well. So, yeah, 11th versus 27th should be pretty interesting here. What do you think about this matchup? Do you think 27th has the staying power to potentially hold here, or is 11th just a bit too aggressive for this matchup?
I mean, 27th has staying power to hold always in every matchup generally, but here we're seeing a very rare and peculiar three Bradley rush up north to Oscar, and this as you shouldn't really compete on Tonnoman's side. You shouldn't really aggressively compete for Oscar just because your opponent does have the opener advantage, and they have some pretty good uh, ex- in infantry that they, such as engineers and engineer dragons, that they can send fast and cheap into the town, and you don't want to start contesting the town on the terms of the infantry, because as a mechanized division, 27th works best if you get to invest on the mech. And generally, I'd say that completely relegating on this matchup, just leaving Oscar B and trying to build up a stronger mechanized bubble and stronger wall of ATGMs so that the enemy can't transition into M1A1 blobs. You want to get your heavy stuff out there, you want to get your tank killers out there, and you probably want to get some tactical positions so that the enemy is forced to keep investing into infantry instead of transitioning into the heavy gameplay. And if the enemy keeps investing into infantry, 27th has amazing artillery. But if you keep investing into infantry on Oscar, for instance, that means it's going to be away from your ability to transition into the late game. So even if it's just 2 units, and no, actually, it's actually way more than 2 units. It's actually a very large force that is moving on Oscar, and the stealth Bradley opener is kind of peculiar. I don't think I've seen one of these happen. It's extremely expensive with especially with the quick fix and the cyanide out there. But the Bradleys are very vulnerable, and they're not really that fast. They can't quickly shoot down an enemy truck like an AMX-10 could. So if the Bradleys don't deliver here, I think this might go for Tonnoman pretty fast.
But they have the TOW2, so they can massacre vehicles. We have an F-16 versus MiG-23 duel in the skies, and the MiG-23 going a bit too deep there against the cyanide, getting shut down by the shotgun plane here, with the double AM-9M weapon firing 2 AM-9Ms at a time, which are the peak short-range infrared missiles in the game. Quick fix, moving towards the Spetsnaz in the north. We'll check all of that out. This is pre-patched for everybody who just joined. So engineers and engineer dragons all still cheap. Dragons still with the long range. So 11 for sure is a super scary division. Quick fix being cheap as well. And the Bradley plus infantry push is pushing on forward. And unlike your recommendation, Tonnoman is investing in there. And that might get hit pretty hard here.
Yeah, I mean, if these Bradleys can build up a fire support blob here and leave that fire support uncontested, then they're going to be very value. There are metis here that can actually deal with them pretty well in proper positions. One of them getting taken out already by the first metis squad, and the Sea Knight getting hit by Tunguska. The CFWs keep going on forwards. They're very expensive, 115 points. Very expensive only to use them for their autocannons and forward deployment. But there wasn't justifiably no tank from Tonnoman. That would have been extremely surprising if Tonnoman had a tank there, in my opinion. So the Bradleys did actually provide enough explosive momentum, as I said. So Tonnoman, realizing this is lost, keeps driving with the rest of the units down to X-ray, Aircav troopers and Cobra bought to contest it. The Cobra can likely be fought off by the BMP Razvedka BMP2, but we'll see what's going to happen with that.
Oh yeah, BTRs and co moving around there. Another Tunguska coming in. the RKH MCV moving in here. And yeah, the one Bradley that went down was actually quite unfortunate. It was just before the Medis got stunned down, and the Medis was already heavily stressed out at the moment it got the hit, but good, important kill there for Tonno. So at the south, the Bradleys plus infantry for stealth doing actually quite well as well, even having Bradley CVs here moving around. And yeah, the Cobra in the north can do a decent amount of cleanup as well. So this game is pretty hectic, especially for a two lakes map. Like you usually don't have those intertwined kind of front lines and mangled front lines that we have here right now with units in the rear of each other. But I like the move of Tonnoman to move on. I'm just not sure if it can actually be supported back there.
Yeah, I mean there's only 4 air supremacy fighters in the 27th, and all of those 4 need to be kept alive, and 2 out of the 4 are already down. If I didn't miss any, so
Got the
as
F-16
long
LGB
and
though, so that's a valuable trait nonetheless. But the Tunguska in the north going down as well, and that's the more painful thing, I think. Like those Tunguska losses, they hurt pretty badly. Not being able to deal with the Cobras later on, not having that close range area that can shoot down enemy fighters if they come in, and yet the stealth with a lot of aggression, and this time, in the trades at least, it is working out. I'm not... yeah, currently this tick is still going on for Tonnoman, so we will see how that develops. But the southern push with the Engineered Dragons is pretty scary as well, actually.
yeah, the engineer dragons here are used on vet 1, which gives them pretty decent ability to when en masse challenge even fortified enemies. I mean they are 10 guys. Even without the machine guns, they can do good damage. And but there's nothing really to follow this up. If the Rasvedka BMP2 can have a good engagement and doesn't get hit by the dragons or the Bradley, I think these engineers are just kind of sitting ducks here, attacking the fortified positions. But speaking of sitting ducks, the X-ray units that are currently facing the Cobra once again.
Yeah, we
A
have
second Cobra, actually.
Iltis leader now capturing north. MiG-27 HE trying to come around. F-16 AAs are on the hunt though, and the MiG-27 is not fast enough to easily disengage there, and it gets shot down. Another MiG-29 coming in, but it's 1 versus 2. So the F-16 showing rear to it. MiG-29 really unfortunate though, missing all 6 missiles there. That's painful, and we see a surrender here
It's done.
on the side of Tonnoman, as the losses were just a bit too high, and the stealth here with a really aggressive push, getting a quick W here in game 2, getting the equalizer, as I actually misrepresented that on stream before. It was Tonnoman winning the first one, and now we have a 1-1 situation here between the stealth and Tonno. Good, strong, aggressive play here, and 11th working out like a charm.
Extremely rare, but extremely rare case of Bradley rushing, like recon Bradley rushing. Incredible.
Yeah, and it worked out really, really well there. So, well played by the stealth. Getting the W here, 1,000 points ahead, more than double the KD. And in 5 minutes, 1,700 kills. That's basically like the start plus some. So, not a lot of units left there on the battlefield. And it'll be interesting to see how Tonnoman recovers from this strong rush here, and what they will do in the upcoming games, if they will play even safer than they did now. Because Stealth seems to be set on being aggressive, with 82nd in the first game and now 11th, and what matchups we gonna see here. Also, hello there, Team and Place Raiders. Welcome to the channel. Hope you all having a good time. And you had a lot of fun with Rügner. We're having here the last game of WARNO League Season 1. Giving a good goodbye with the Division 4 Grand Finals before we will start the sign up for WARNO League Season 2, which will start at the 16th of September. So if you are interested in that, keep your eyes open. And yeah, we're gonna move on to the next one here. Short break, and then we're gonna be back with game number 3.
I'm here too.
Yeah, for everybody interested, Chloride channel is also live on Twitch right now. And if you haven't joined and followed his channel, do that right now.
Oh.
So here we go, game number 3, and Stealth actually on the defensive one this time, as Stealth is playing 27th, and Tonno playing the 2nd Panzer Grenadier here. We are on Mount River, a map that I really miss in ranked right now. Not gonna lie, I didn't expect I would miss it. I didn't expect it to be as good in game-wise that we got. I thought it would be way more stale than it actually plays out, but most of the games that we had in League on it were pretty exciting, and most of the games I played on it in Ranked also had been pretty exciting. So I feel like removing it was a bit of a mistake. I kind of miss it, but we still have it here. So let's see what we get here. 27th versus 2nd Panzer Grenadier. Pretty standard matchup, though. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by Stealth being the 27th player this time. And the FSP here, nonetheless. What do you think about that, Florite?
I mean, the Sklar Znabzenia is a very common pick for 27th players, especially if the map is a map that incentivizes a heavy artillery usage. And if you look at the tiny areas on the northern points of Alpha and Papa, the tiny bunched up buildings in the middle of X-ray, you will realize that this map is primary hunting environment for multi-launching rocket systems and accurate fast-firing artillery, both of which the 27th can bring out. So the Sklar Znabzenia pick is likely, at least it should be, an investment into an early adoption of heavy artillery. And when it comes to sending the heavy artillery against the division, the 2nd Panzer Grenadier is a pretty decent option because the 2nd has a lot of large, well-priced infantry squads that and they rely on them from the very start. I think the reason why 2nd PG is so commonly taken on this map is because the map is pretty small. So quick reinforcing 11-man Jaeger squads work out really well, and Fallschirmjägers en masse going and taking out ground in the start to be followed up by the masses of regular Jaegers and Pioneers. It's just a reliable tactic, and it works out pretty well. And you can counter it with fire superiority. The fire superiority can be in the form of helicopters, can be in the form of BMP-3s, and it can be in the form of artillery. And it seems that Stealth has made up his mind on which one they're going to use here.
Yeah, for everybody wondering who just joined us out of T-Man's channel, this is played on the old patch. This is from a replay, so Maddie is still having full range and stuff like that. The Harrier bombers on the other side still being cheap. So yeah, the new pretty good balance patch, I would argue, hasn't hit this game yet. Though the balance between these two divisions should still be fine. They were both quite far on the top end on the last balance patch, and it's gonna be interesting to see how Stealth plays when they are the one on the defense versus Tonno being the more aggressive one with the divisions, or if they just try to still put the pressure out there with the mechanized forces that 27th can assemble from the get-go and still try to be a bit more aggressive. Me-24V Rocket for sure, interesting starting unit here.
Yeah, I mean if you can deal with the Belgian F-16, the second Panzer Grenadier does have a weakness in defending its forward deployment infantry. The F-16 is out there to kill the helicopters because they don't get forward deploying man pads and even the Gepards, which are pretty decent at killing helicopters and planes, are slow deployed and slow and deployed statically. So they can't be on time to kill the helicopter. So this is why we see the F-16 go out and try to find the hind that is basically always taken with 27th and other similar divisions.
F-16 though getting hit by the Strela 10 M3 immediately, taking some damage. MiG-23 trying to come out, not able to find the hit there. Trying to follow it up here in style. So yeah, the Fallschirmjägers can push forward, but the Me-24 actually would have had room there to do some damage. I feel like I would have used it even with only 6 hit points in that situation. Stealth doesn't want to risk it though, flies it back and starts to use the FSP immediately with the first repair job coming up.
Yeah, though, but despite this, the Fallschirmjägers are freely allowed to move into the Papa position, and Stealth is deploying his recon deployed unit in the same place that these forward deployment units are deploying. And they have the same road speed, but because the Fallschirmjägers are airborne, the Fallschirmjägers are there first and able to kill the Spetsnazvedka while they're in the trucks. Massive counter punch against losing the F-16 here.
Yeah,
there's something that the helicopter might have done something
about. Trying to come around, and we have Saperi's BRMs coming around, and Luxus under fire. On the other side, Fallschirmjäger being hit pretty hard by a lot of Saperis and BRMs. We have BMP-2s rolling in from the rear as well, so there is a decent amount of firepower here for Stealth, but needs to take out the Lux. Okay, gets the kill on the Lux. Now I feel like pushing into the Fallschirmjägers can be done, as there's not that much fire support behind that, and the BRM and the BMP-2 should give enough firepower to overwhelm the Fallschirmjägers here in the buildings.
Yeah, the vetted up Saperi are able to run up there, not slowing down or getting stunned or losing cohesion.
BMP-1 going a bit too deep, and it gets its units out last second, but Saperi's also moving past the building, not getting its TNT out, just now starting to get it out. The miss micro here, a bit too strong on the Stealth side. Fallschirmjägers getting hit, but the fire support vehicles should not have moved forward like that. The Saperis should not have moved past the building, and a situation where it looked quite promising for Stealth, getting punished here in the end. At least getting a kill onto the Tornado, so trade-wise, point-wise, it actually wasn't too bad in the last minute, but the position that will be lost here and that the Fallschirmjägers will be able to entrench on, that is a big loss. That is the real painful situation here right now.
Yeah, having to push both the north and the middle is a loss here. This is something, losing one of them at the opener is justified when your opponent has a forward deployment advantage and you're investing into a supply point. Uh, but like this is the bad timeline going on here for the stealth. But to fix the bad timeline is an early grad, 4 minutes in, less than 4 minutes in, and the rocket artillery is coming out. So at this rate, if you at this rate, the supply might actually get used. In my experience, you need at least 2 players actively using rocket artillery for around 40 minutes to use up a forward supply point. But despite the infinite supply is the point. It's not, you're not supposed to use all of it, but it's always
Actually, you
nice
can use
to
it
do
up
that.
with 2 Gruts within a game as well, if you use them after each reload. As 800 supplies, I mean, that's not endless amount of salvos. With that, you still get a good amount, but with 2 of them, 1,600, that's only 10 salvos to go through. And yeah, the first one is now coming up against the Vulture Makers. The MP3 engaging the Vulture Makers there as well, but the northern situation being hurt so badly is pretty bad, and the CV unit being lost there also means that pivoting into the center, pivoting into the south, maybe is not really possible either. So yeah, Stealth not quite reacting fast enough here, as yeah, they are both newer players, and being on the losing side always is a tough position to play from, and way harder to learn than learning how to win. Is learning how to come back in an RTS always tough, because you have to do more with less, and that is never easy.
Yeah,
Like,
the blind MLRS is a sign of maybe insecurity here, considering that that stealth actually did have knowledge of where the enemy infantry is. Just but wanting to maybe get one over on the enemy, wanting to maybe show that well, this is not over. I can also do something for you, but you know, throwing the dice just landed badly right now, and the next salvo is gonna be here in around 80 seconds
yeah,
plus
unit
aiming time, so 100 seconds.
now aiming up on to another position. Sprut there finding a bit of damage. The ADBV rolling up towards the north as well, though there's little infantry currently to support it. And yeah, the stealth also not pushing in the south. I see another Grut coming around, so stealth really setting up for the grind game. But with a +3, potentially a +4, yeah, +4 soon against them, he still will need to find some ground eventually here, as +4 kicks you down quite rapidly. So either X-Ray or the north needs to be neutralized again, or at least Lima and the south being captured. So the Gruts will need to find some connection within their next 2-3 salvos to really get something going here again.
Yeah, but the defensive line from stealth here is not the worst. There are Sprutes covering the gaps. There are BMP3s on the long range, and BMP2s are coming in, as well as the second grad. And as long as all of the units get put into a cohesive whole, and if all of this firepower of the IFVs and the tanks and the grads can be used effectively against a single location, that's in a way more than enough to break through what Tonnoman has here right now. But the problem here is that all of these units need to be, all of the enemy units need to be spotted somehow. Otherwise, it's just going to be sending these double grad strikes into empty buildings, as happened right now.
Yeah, one of them
oh, well, not fully
is
empty.
on target, but the second one is missing. And a great reaction here from Tonnoman, so another Grad salvo landing nowhere. And yeah, we have a complete lack of recon unit. Like, the only one on the battlefield right now is a BRM, and that is also not getting fixed. It's just more infantry here from the Stealth, and yeah, that's an issue that newer players often have, that they undervalue recon, because recon doesn't feel that good in WARNO, because yeah, it spots too little, and I really hope we finally at some point will see it buffed slightly. But normal units they see even worse. And so you need those recon units really badly, even though it feels like they spot too little. Seeing something is still better than seeing nothing, and the current situation is basically seeing nothing. So that's a big issue, and that means that those Grats are off target. That means that a MiG-23 flies too far forward and gets shut down. And on the other side, Tonnoman is able to move without getting punished because the units all move unseen, and the BMPs and the T-80BVs don't quite know where to be to fire at them. There might be enough firepower here to overwhelm this eventually, but yeah, without the Grats, it's going to be tough to dislodge this infantry.
Yeah, look at there's this the silo tower. The Montestrarchi are moving into the silo tower, but the humble 4-man recon squad. There are Svedka, the Aufklärer, the scouts. Those are the people who actually win tank fights. The tanks go out there and they drive and they do the shooting, but the people who win the tank fights. You can lose tank fights while having a lot of tanks, but you're not really gonna lose tank fights if you have an equal amounts of tanks and recon units, especially very well stealthed, expendable recon infantry. Recon infantry and recon units in general get a buff to their stealth. So if you set them to move via cover, via buildings and forest tree lines, you can get those guys really close without the enemy seeing them, and that'll allow you amazing ability to just get free kills with your tanks. That's the way that they do it in real life. You don't send the tanks forward until something starts shooting at them.
Yes,
Unless you're the Russian or Turkish army, but
Grats trying to hit the pioneers
Israelis
here now. That's pretty good positioning. The BMPs and TADBVs also in a good concentration. Fighter once more. I don't know why Stealth always is so set on bringing fighters just for coming around and always flying them a bit too far forward. Like, if you want to let them loiter, you need to let them loiter really in your rear. Otherwise, they always will get hit by AA eventually. So those positions for sure. Like, that happened a bit too often in these games so far. But the more important part is the Grat salvo here now. The buildings are all still standing, so the damage is not super high, but they stun, they do some damage. Fallschirmjägers here getting overwhelmed, and they will allow the destroying the town. Also, the infantry and the BMPs to just push through. The line of sight also being made easier by destroying the buildings, so the infantry has less to hide in, and the TADBVs and BMP3s here now really can do that push.
Yeah, but the lack of recon here, allowing the Fuchs Milan to get a free BMP2, lack of recon allowing these Tonnoman's units up north to actually move into this tree line very close to the tanks and the BMP2s without the Fallschirmjäger getting spotted until it's in fighting range. Just a couple of Rasvedkas down there, and the actual fighting capacities of this force are multiplied.
Yeah. Tornado AT and MiG-27HE both going down. The Fallschirmjäger getting killed on one of the BMP2s. Milan 2 there around as well, currently unspotted. Whilst we have Leopards being hit by BMP3. TADBV will have to disengage here soon. The Milan 2 otherwise will deal too much damage. BMP3 gets killed by Fallschirmjägers as well. And the TADBV goes down to the Milan 2. Oh no, this is painful. Like, a lot of infantry has been cleaned up here. Tonnoman's combined arms has been decimated quite heavily, but the Milan 2 here getting 3 kills while the TADBV smoking off, that is an issue. Mi-24V rocket getting on top of the Panzer Grenadiers. We see the artillery coming in from the rear now with some Nonnas. That's good stuff as well. I like the combined arms of Stealth. Outside of the lack of recon, everything else here is pretty good, but yeah, the lack of recon really still makes the trade worse than they should be, as the rest here does pretty well.
Yeah, as the double-edged sword of destroying all the buildings while you were breaking through means that you have literally no cover for your infantry or stealth to move into attack the Papa position. So now having destroyed the buildings, it's just more sightlines for Tonnoman to be able to put maybe up north of the position Papa to put more Milan 2s or even Leopard 2s. As long as the Jaeger Aufklärer is here, the information advantage is massive for Tonnoman, and Tonnoman will be able to even against this very powerful force position their troops in a preferential way.
Yeah, RKHM going down, Jäger Aufklärers try to deal with the BMP3 at the KDBV, as we have the Sprut now pushing forward as well. But the CV going down means that the +4 is still active. The Grud trying to come around once more, not hitting all that much though, as we still have no recon on the front line, and the Stealth invests into more and more infantry instead. The +4 here taking on unforgivably, forgiving 4 minutes remaining. We have a new CV on the battlefield, but it's a BMP2 only, so it will take a good while there, and at that point Tonno will be close to victory, and with the amount of Leos by now on the battlefield, it's going to be hard for Stealth's vehicles to deal with that as well.
Yeah, the Leopard 2s are a good choice against the MLRS heavy games fighting style, not just because the Leopards are fast firing and accurate and maneuverable enough to go and do damage or destroy the BMPs and then run back before the BMP's friends can launch their ATGMs, and also the fast firing and heavily armored, the fast moving and heavily armored tanks can pretty reliably, if well controlled, dodge the MLRS strikes. And wasting 2 MLRS strikes to kill a single Leopard is, well, it's not necessarily a waste if you can get something out of it, but Tonnoman does have enough depth in his deck to keep replacing the tanks, and there's at this rate, there's 3 minutes left in this game.
Yes, CV's trying to come around. We have some more TADBVs and BMP3s being moved around, but the Leos being able to find the BMP3s before the BMP3s can spot them, thanks to the lack of recon here, and the BMP3s getting into gun range. They're not like you usually want to have them stay outside of gun range, just using their long range, high speed, low penetration ATGMs that still are good enough to deal with Leo 1A5s, even with only 18 penetration. But yeah, the lack of capture power here for Stealth right now is quite brutal, and we will see what Stealth can do here if something can be done about this in the north, but I feel like there just might not be enough force around here to stabilize this game at this stage.
Yeah, the engagement angle is really bad here for Stealth. Stealth destroyed and made the angle even worse by destroying their own buildings. Now that the infantry can get in here, it's all right, but you can't really reinforce the Papa position without getting threatened by either the Leopard 1s down south, on the southeast of the point, or the Martyrs and the rest of the tanks up north of the point. This requires extreme fire superiority, and or as people in this game call it, a tank blob, because the engagement angles are so bad that in every engagement you want to have multiples of tanks attacking the enemy. Otherwise, you're going to have situations in which the Milan 2s might sideshot the T80s, and yeah, this is even more Milans and Jaguars are coming to make this an even more threatening concave to attack. This Tonnoman is planning this out pretty well here from the very start. Stealth, I really do think I agree with you. I think the helicopter should have just kind of gone with it. If the helicopter had killed at least one of those Fallschirmjägers, or maybe 2 of those Fallschirmjägers, and bought just a little bit more time, maybe the Spetra Svedka would have survived. Maybe the opener infantry could have gotten into the point, and maybe this could have been a defensive fight, at least a defensive fight on +2 instead of +4, or -2 instead of -4.
Yeah, rocket artillery here landing once more, but the units of Tonnoman being micro well enough. The Steel Division 2 micro here on Tonnoman's side kicking in and getting everything out of dodge, whilst we see more Motostrelkis moving into the front line here at the same time. Jaegers slowly moving up there as well, BMP3s and TADBVs coming around. Leo 185 on the other side. Ooh, gets a track broken. Can the TDBV finish it off? Not quite yet. TDBV versus Panzer Grenadier. Good kill there. Leo 185 smoking off. Marder 183 with the long range ATGM. Ooh, not finding the kill. Okay. Jaguar on the other side under fire. Marder 183 gets hit, gets stunned. As we have Leo 283 and Leo 185 in the north being hit quite hard as well. And yeah, the +2 is real. 34 seconds remaining. And it seems like we will get onto a match ball here for Tonnoman quite soon. And I feel like Stealth should go back to like somewhat aggressive but consistent unit, the divisions. Like that 11th playstyle seemed to fit the best for sure. As the 27th here, without the recon, just not quite stable enough in the counter pushes, and that got punished quite hard. And then game 1 was just not quite aggressive enough. So that middle seems to be the point to go for. We will see if he can do it again, or if Tonno will be able to take it all here in game 4 in a second, as this one for sure pretty dominant by Tonnoman.
Yeah, I like I like Motostrelki RPG 27th, even though you get only 500-meter range, which is bad. But these are 7-man units for 45 points, and using them as your sole way of contacting the enemy, sole way of spotting for your very long range and very heavy and very high-tech high-tech units. You can't keep affording to send vetted up 45-point infantry squads to their death every time you want to spot an enemy unit, especially because those enemy units are very expendable. So you go out there, you get close, you sacrifice an infantry unit, and you get a kill against the Jaeger, Aufklärer, or Jaeger, and then in a moment, you've driven so close that your opponent is probably going to move and maneuver and get a couple of hits in you, maybe with a Jaguar, maybe with a Leopard 2, maybe with a Milan 2. And then you have to run back and order more Motostrelki RPG 27s to go and find the enemy again. If you had recon, the enemy wouldn't have been able to take those side positions because you would have killed them the moment they showed push themselves up to the forest line. And that was truly the weakness of this push. Everything else was going pretty all right, even with the lost opener, but the allowing the enemy to have full recon advantage all game is just a surefire way of losing every engagement.
Yeah, a really strong show here once more. Tonno playing with those aggressive units from the get-go. Fallschirmjägers getting into good spots. Leos, I think, were added in the right pace as well. If you go too many Leos at the beginning, immediately you leave yourself open for enemy picking you up a bit too easily if you don't have the combined arms, but he added them at the right moment to then just have the force ready to move around and kill stuff. And that worked out quite well. We gotta see if it can work one more time. It's only one more time necessary here for Tonnoman on the 2-1 in this best of 5. Or if the Stealth can find a solution here. Quick break, then we're gonna be back with game number 4. Time for the match ball here. Stealth versus Tonnoman. Stealth on the left side here, bringing around the 2nd Panzer Grenadier themselves, and I like that. I like them with 11th. I think 2nd Panzer has a similar playstyle. Meanwhile, Tonno going in the big leagues here when it comes to cost efficiency and quality, as we have 3rd US coming out of Tonno, and that is going to be pretty interesting, as it can win on the open field quite well, but it could potentially be stretched really thin on airport here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that all gets played. Meanwhile, guys, if you want to play in a tournament, first of all, League Season 2 gonna start at the 16th of September. Keep that in your calendar. Sign up starting real soon. And then also the WARNO Swiss Championship 2v2 tournament coming up this weekend. So if you want to join that, you can find the information in the chat right now as well. We have a lot of players already signed up for it, 24 teams already on the start, but we have a couple of slots open still. With the Swiss format, the amount of teams is not of big importance. You will get to play 5 rounds no matter what, as with the Swiss format, there is no eliminations, and you get matched up against teams with similar standings than in the round before. So if you sign up, you get to play all the 5 hours of game time with your friends in a pretty balanced and curated platform. No long waiting times between rounds like in real lobby sim that 2v2 is, unfortunately, at the moment in WARNO, and nothing like that. And good competition as well. Plus, yeah, balanced games as well, at least in the later rounds. And yeah, Tonno versus Stealth. That's a pretty somewhat balanced matchup as well. So Tonno for sure looking a bit more stable so far, but I like Stealth's pick here. How do you see the chances of 2nd Panzer versus 3rd just on the division basis, though?
On the division basis, it really does depend on how it goes in the opener, but generally, yeah, I think 3rd wins it. If both players play standard and no big breakthroughs happen on either side, 3rd is most likely going to win it. 3rd is going to be able to have 3rd has better aircraft. 3rd has way better helicopters, and 3rd has way better tanks. And if all of these are allowed to be on the board, if the game allows 3rd to play full 3rd will win against most divisions. And the way to prevent this from happening is to gain an early advantage. Do some aggro, get some positions, do an air rush maybe. Try to target your enemy's air defenses and hold the first 5 minutes of the game hostage with you sending in small bombers. All this kind of stuff you can try to do. But here we're seeing the 2nd Panzergrenadier do pretty standard forward deployment opener with the groups of 1 Fallschirmjäger and 1 Fallschirmmilan, with the Phantom and Tornado challenging each other, and the Phantom most likely here to protect the aircraft troopers, and the 2nd ASF also coming in from the 2nd PG.
We have Tornado and F-16 here, though unfortunate start there, and the F-16 not being more lucky than its comrade there. The Phantom winning the fight against Tornado and the F-16. That is really painful for the Stealth. Oh, that is the classic RNG in the air fight there, really hurting the Stealth. Again, that means all the helicopters on the ground do survive for Tonnoman as well, at least if they don't get hit by ATGM. One of the Black Hawks getting killed off by Milan too. Not something you see that often, but yeah. An important victory here for Tonnoman, meaning that the aircraft troopers can get a bit of ground, and that the Fallschirmjägers of Stealth don't capture too much ground for free. And yeah, we're gonna see where it goes from here. Fallschirmjägers pushing in the middle. Snipers have them in their sight, but they are on hold fire, so they won't be able to get the engagement going there.
Yeah, I think the Fallschirmjägers and the Fallschirmmilans were used very conservatively. These positions are almost completely solidly on the side of the Stealth, so the forward deployment advantage was used not really to its full extent. And I think that's in the end that's probably going to be a good idea, considering losing the aircraft meant that any kind of an early infantry push would have immediately led to an overextension, because they couldn't protect the Fallschirmjägers from Cobras and tow Cobras. But so far, yeah, at this point, the situation is heavily into Tonnoman's favor. Tonnoman has 1 out of the 3 contested zones already completely. Is currently in the process of taking the 2nd one, with only a single Milan here trying to shoot at these IFVs unsuccessfully, by the way, most likely running out of ammo before any serious targets come out there. Phantom HE does get taken out by the F-16, so there is something, and the Stealth is ordering Panzermersers to support later offensives over the the runway. But so far, Tonnoman completely winning the opener here and putting the stealth into the, on the back foot. And this is the time now for the stealth, likely the around 10 minutes that something can be done before the third is solidly going to be in the driver's seat.
ATGM flying around, MR13 getting hit, F15 getting kill on the F16, might be getting down by its brethren though. Ooh, it's so low. Can the F16 get a couple more shots on target? Yes, it can. F15 being traded for an F16 AA, and that's the cheap Belgian one, so fantastic trade there for the stealth. If that second F16 can get out, I don't think the Stinger is able to fire there, so that's a nice one. And the Leo 1A5 dealing a decent amount of damage to Tonnoman's infantry, so not really killing it. We have the Mercers now being used, but actually for HE fire and not really on the right targets, so that is not of any major impact just yet. No big bombardment yet either, and yeah, Tonno even being greedy here with the FSP in my eyes. The forward supply point in the rear, allowing endless supply throughout the game though, but not even sure if that is necessary for a division that is not known to artillery spam with the 3rd US.
No, but I think if you if you design it specifically for airport, then I think you might save a card of supply, only buy a single card of supply and then constantly refuel them at the field supply. You know, you can get a slight card advantage because this is the movement distances are so small that you can actually go and send your supply trucks back there. But otherwise, yeah, I would agree that it's a bit greedy, and it really didn't show in the opener. The opener succeeded so well with the aircraft trooper drops and the fighter challengings. So far, the Panzermercer is really just going to blindly trying to do any damage here, and the Tampella mortars are good. They're the heavy 120 millimeter mortars. They're easy to supply. They have but they really just kind of stealth, just showing his hand, making sure that Tonnoman knows that stealth has two Mercers mortars here, and likely will remind Tonnoman that it's possible that there are going to be infantry assaults coming over the highway under the cover of the smokes. Mortars are good, but generally, if mortars only win battles when they fire smoke rounds.
I see Pioneers coming around in the rear. Leo 2A3s coming in as well on the other side. No tanks just until now. M1HA now being brought forward. And the question is, can the position be broken here? So Engineered Dragons, still with the old range, they are hard to beat. If it would be the new patch, beating them would be a lot easier. You could do it with Martyrs, and I hope we will get to see more IFVs in the future against American divisions, as I felt like the lockdown that the Americans had against that and the basic incapability of using IFVs, especially Martyrs with the lower ranges on the autocannon, was really frustrating. So we'll see how it goes there. But in this game, the Engineered Dragon lockdown on Martyrs still was the case. So that's why we see so many Leo 1A5s here. And we're gonna see if they can have an effect here and maybe break his position, though it will be tough to do that before the M1A1HA arrives on the front line.
So the first part, Milan 2 has been taken out on down south. So the 155 millimeter gun under the corrected shot recon bubble from the M150A1 in an excellent position to just weaken any kind of push that the stealth wants to prepare on the west side or the southwest side of Echo. Yeah, meanwhile, Pioneers actually moving on open ground against the fortified aircraft troopers. Behind them, they have some Leopard 1s and a 2 with Gepards and Fuchs Milans. But once again here, I see the lack of recon units. The recon units wouldn't necessarily be able to spot all of these units on long range, but they could first of all provide corrected shot. Do mortars get corrected shot nowadays?
They don't.
No, they don't do anymore. Okay, so that's out of the question. But even then, they just give you they can spot you the extra little glimpse of the enemy and make you understand, realize that they're up to something. And it's always a good investment. And these pioneers are going out there, and they're getting spotted from an extremely long range by a sniper. The sniper is spotting also for the TOW 2, which is just gonna kill on Leopard 1. It's just attacking without recon is just simply inefficient.
Yeah, and that was already the second Leopard 1 they're being taken out. And no bombers having been brought around by the stealth to deal with those kind of positions. It's all AAs, and yeah, the F-16 AA not really that strong in comparison to the AA units on the other side, as the AIM-9Ps are relatively weak AA missiles, and on this map, long-range missiles can be quite potent. So yeah, the TOW 2 still constantly being a threat here. Mortars being used for HE instead of smoke, so Leo's not being protected that way either, and the TOW 2 really doing a lot of damage here. Hitting the Leo 2A3 as well, which tries to chase them down, and it might be possible, but a lot of losses taken for it, and a lot of time lost here as well, that allowed M1A1s to be bought, Apaches to be bought, Bradleys to be bought, and beating those with a formation that is not quite on plop level yet will be tough. Like, 2nd Panzer Grenadier, if it gets the plop going, can beat those kind of units, but the plop is not really existent right now. There is a decent amount of forces, but not enough tanks and IFVs here really to call it a plop.
Yeah, this really is the moment here. The advantage in numbers and the ability to maybe capture the southwestern of the towers of the two towers controlling the area in between all of the four in the middle of the four zones. That if stealth actually manages to get here, manages to take care of this Abrams, that is going to be one of the biggest issues here. The Fallschirmjägers getting close could use their Panzerfaust maybe, but now with an Apache coming in here, needs to be countered quickly by either Gepards or maybe a fighter, because this is the moment here that a breakthrough, not even a breakthrough, but a tactical breakthrough is possible. The attack down on the airport hangars is not going to work out if the 50 cal machine guns and TOW 2s and Bradleys and Apaches and Abrams can use this tower area to exert fire control on the 2nd Panzer Grenadiers reinforcement route. So the Apache here making sure that this doesn't happen puts even more pressure for the western side of the stealth units to actually start succeeding. And because if the western attack does not succeed, there is no way that there is not going to be a Tonnoman counterattack straight to the west from the tower, which is gonna, and there's not gonna be enough armor here to break an Apache and a couple of Abrams. Now an HA Abrams as well.
Yeah, HA Abrams being pushed back slowly. We see more Jaegers, some more Panzer Grenadiers pushing forward there. They tried to get in, but a lot of Jaegers and Leos and Fuchs Milans being shut down over the last couple of minutes. And those Fuchs Milans are also kind of part of the tool set that you need to stun down the M1A1s so that you can beat them up later. So the missing those ATGM, that ATGM wall that you want to build up to, is pretty tough. We might see a +1/+2 take here via Echo soon. We still have a couple of Leos in the south as well, but Tonno also doing a good job preserving the forces so far, losing a couple of infantry units, losing a couple of ATGM units, obviously, but the HA Abrams and M1A1 Abrams are in a pretty safe spot, so no bombers or anything could just kill them off, and the Apache being used really annoyingly well right now as well, as the anti-helicopter AAA of 2nd Panzer Grenadier is not that amazing. It has the Gepard, but that has to get close while it's not being stealthy at all, and the Fliegerfaust is not the best manpad in the game.
Yeah, so very very unfortunate on the stealth side to lose this push, and now the half-hearted attempts of trying to break into the middle are going to get countered on long range by this howitzer and this tank and this Apache. The close range engagement that is necessary for the stealth to start getting first of all getting use out of their large infantry squads, but also the use out of the weaker tanks. The Leopard 1A5s can't penetrate the Abrams unless they get close. And on max range, the Abrams can just sniff out the Leopard 1s easily. And even the Leopard 2s, with their inferior armor, really just want to get at least at around like 1,500, maybe even 1,000 meter range. And all of this could be maybe facilitated by the building up smoke walls with the Panzermersers, but that is not happening here for some reason. The 50 rounds have been already fired. There are heavy tanks, there are barrels, there are TOW 2 positions, and yet those are not getting smoked out. That is a huge loss in just practical ability. And the Phantom immediately sniper team spotting. Snipers are basically invisible with their sniper trait activated after 10 seconds of standing still. So at every second the Fallschirmjäger leader was moving into the zone. Tonnoman had vision of it, and the HE plane could easily take it out.
Yeah, Milan 2 at least getting the M1A1. The HE bomber plane also getting gunned down immediately thanks to iHawks. F4F going down as well. But the AA network on Tonnoman's side, pretty decent by now as well. So all the strong aircraft that the Stealth does have access to as well, not really capable of doing much here at this point anymore. And they could have been quite helpful early on if you, for example, would have hit the northern town with a Mehrzweckwaffe or stuff like that. But at this point, I feel like they would be mostly suicidal. And that is an issue, because I'm not quite sure how you break this position without them. Artillery could potentially help, for sure. 155mm Feldhaubitze being the one of choice right now. But I don't think they will do enough to really do the job here. As we have Milans and Fliegerfaust coming around, getting an OH scout. Game is not over. Stealth obviously has just as many points here, and the traits lately haven't been terrible, as we got some M1A1 skills. But yeah, as you pointed out, the late game on paper for sure better than third, though second at least has tools for the late game as well.
Yeah, if you look at this game, you can see that the Stealth is constantly attacking. Both of these players understand the relations between the relative strengths of their divisions, and all the time the Stealth is pushing, and Tonnoman is only moving around and trying to get good engagements. Tonnoman is not overextending. Tonnoman is keeping the HA Abrams safe. Is not trying to challenge the fortified enemy positions for no reason, and this seems to be working so far. There's only gonna Tonnoman only needs a couple of points to actually win this, and the HA Abrams and with some actually 3 different recon units going out with the HA Abrams and the Bradley, successfully capturing the southern position here after the positions have been pounded by the 155mm howitzer, of course.
Yeah. As we have the Leo 2A3 trying to attack the 50 cal here. Milan 1 coming around as well. We see the HA getting side-shotted by the Leo 2A3. That is big. That is the kills that you need right now here as Stealth. And yeah, Stealth really getting an important one there. That might allow a bit of action, and we have the cluster bombers now coming around. Oh, HA will get hit at least. Is stunned down, but we have a Phantom versus Tornado. Can the Tornado avenge its brethren from earlier? Yes, it can. Chaparral not able to find the kill against the Tornado, so really, really good trades here right now for the Stealth. This gives me hope that we still might see more of this game. The Jaguar 2, really good investment as well. Super important that you have high penetration units against the HA Abrams. And this also still being 70 points as it was on the previous patch. Yeah, nerfed rightfully in my eyes, as this is a fantastic, really strong units in the German arsenal. And yeah, Jaguar here trying to engage against the M150. One getting hurt, but the M150 goes down as well. Chaparral under fire. Bradley trying to move forward. Leo 185 moving around as well. As Stealth should smoke off there. Oh no, Jaguar taking the duel and losing it. That is unfortunate. That should have been just the smoke and run. Stealth in general, a bit slow on the smoke play in general in this game so far.
Yeah, this so far, even though the upcoming attacks we're seeing here, at least the upcoming reinforcements, are moving solidly down the Foxtrot. So Foxtrot really might be the place where, if Stealth actually positions their units well enough, we're seeing for the first time now actual recon units, the Jaeger Aufklärer and the Fallschirmjäger Aufklärer, coming out here and giving some decent understanding for Stealth at when is Tonnoman going to attack and what is the direction from which Tonnoman is going to attack. And currently the direction is right into this Jaguar 2. Jaguar is on low cohesion and 0 vet, but it forces the Abrams to use its smoke already. The Abrams doesn't get another smoke until it gets resupplied. And though the Jaguar did pay for the smoke with its life. And yeah, if the overextension actually happens here, that might be the place. But really, the Stealth's concave is not as powerful as it should be. The Jaguars could be taking even more positions on the sidelines, but of course having the Apache there significantly limits the movement of any West German units.
Yeah, and the Jaguars going down without using their smoke, really not using tools well enough there in my eyes. They'll getting rid of the engineered dragons here potentially with the Leo 185. He's dealing a decent amount of damage, but Jaguar coming around, and once more no smoke here from the Leo, coming in too late. Yeah, that's really where you see a bit the difference between Division 4 and the top level play. Like, the movement is not terrible, but the reaction time is still a bit slower than what you see on the top level, and that did hurt there. Leo 185 going down, and M1A1 does fall in the north though. I'm not sure if it was the Leo 23. I think it was the Milan 2.
Around. Yeah, it was standing around, and there wasn't the defensive AI wasn't on, I don't think. So yeah, there's only passive AI for autonomous troops. So it didn't automatically blow with smoke and lead. So that was a free kill for the Milan team.
Jaegers against engineered dragons moving around. We see Fliegerfaust under fire. Leo 283 in trouble. Bolton setting up to retake the north. We have an AT getting another M1A1HA. Gets killed off for it, but that's a fair trade, especially as the Chaparral gets murdered right after. Yeah, this is the tools that Stealth needs to use, especially after killing off the enemy fighters earlier. Those air-to-ground kills here are pretty big. We see...
Yeah, and turning back with a tornado before flying into the enemy.
Finally getting rid of the Milan. The artillery of Stealth did a decent job earlier, though needs to get some shots out once more. Pioneers and Leo 283 pushing into another zone as well. Whilst we have a lot of M150s and Bradleys in the south though. So Stealth needs to be careful there. I would like to see some BO-105s here actually. As that would force some more careful movement out of Tonno, but we don't see them here right now.
Yeah, the fact that the H.A. Abrams commander here is still alive is it is the big problem. That is the main target. It not just does it buff all of the surrounding units, giving them a very strong increased ability to survive these long range TOW fights. The Bradleys having good cohesion is essential because they want to be able to hit their shots, and having the minus 40% accuracy of the low cohesion is not acceptable in long range fights. But H.A. Abrams manages to get in there. There are no Milan 2s firing at it right now, only Milan 1s. And the Panzergrenadier Martyrs will try to get a side shot here. 3 side shots with the Panzerfäusten, the 65% accuracy of the vetted up of the one vet Panzerfaust can actually do the damage here, and they can
Cluster bomber coming
cheat.
in. It's in the forest. It is stunned down, so it is slow, but it barely dodges. Leo 283
No.
meanwhile going down to a TOW2 side shot in the north. So a good hold there for Tonnoman. So Stealth needs some W's here in the south.
Command. They're a move command. They're not on hunt command. There was a small chance for the Panzer Grenadiers to hit. Now the Panzer Grenadiers are running back. At least they managed to push it out. But a second H.A. Abrams is already coming out to the side. The Dragons, the Bradleys, wounded Bradleys nearby have been suppressed. As long as the engineers or the Abrams can go in and make contact with these Panzer Grenadiers, there's still a chance. Second cluster plane coming in once again, but the high altitude clusters are not going to be fast enough to prevent the Abrams from getting. Yes.
Yeah, they will
68
also,
kph. In practice, tank speeds translate into living tanks, and slow tank speed translates into dead tanks.
they were also attacking on position here. So this one didn't work out that well either. And yeah, we see the M1A1HA moving around. We have 155mm artillery pieces not being used here either. And the Air Force, the Luftwaffe, not coming around enough lately to keep the M1 numbers constantly down. And they had some good runs, but the clusters lately not as successful. F-15, the last one still around. Can it be at least gunned down? Yes, it can. But losing the AT plane there is pretty annoying. Tornado needs to be careful there in the center with the Chaparrals and the Stinger. Would both get the hit, they get the kill. So a good air trade here for Tonnoman once more, and the +2 is real, and there is little aggressive force here left now for Stealth. Really losing the Jaguars and losing the Leo 1A5s without smoke in the north and in the south, I feel like those were the misplays. Like, not getting to that ball that you want to get to, that like wrecking ball that can just go through the enemy that you want to get to with the German divisions currently. That is the issue, not preserving them well enough, and the TOW2s just kill them so quickly. So yeah, that's what's happening right now in the north again. So you need a solution for TOW2 teams.
Yeah, the solution here would be generally the Feldhaubitze that can, with corrected shot, even one of them on decent range can one salvo kill an enemy TOW team or a Milan team, but there's always going to be too many targets here, and using artillery requires you to, in my experience, to constantly check whether the artillery is reloaded or yet. Queuing artillery shots can be done, especially against stationary targets, but generally you don't wanna queue too many shots, because that means that your artillery are gonna sit around and they're gonna fire at some point in the future, and if you forget them back there, that's gonna they're not really gonna be worthwhile. So in my experience, having all artillery guns at their own hotkeys, so you can 1, 2, 3 go click quickly and see at what point of their reload cycle are they, and that is my tip for the day on how to use guns, artillery in a more practical sense. And we're seeing that the once again and another Milan almost getting taken out by the Tonnoman's howitzer. Tonnoman now leading almost by 600 points, and with the stealth constantly sending lower tech units and very risky air attacks against this. Oh no, this massive hit doesn't get a single kill, but that pushes back both an Abrams and an HA Abrams CP. That's a really big here. It's gonna stop this cluster plane, allowed the stealth to gain the zone and stop the tick for the moment. Getting a kill on the Bradley is absolutely nice from the Milan 1, and some Par 1 helicopters are moving in here. But unfortunately, stealth has completely relegated this area. Tonnoman already had sent a scout and a Chaparral up there preparing for the helicopter push at the helicopter flank at a later date. And only single one of those Par 1s is still alive, but with 5 remaining missiles, it can...
Cluster bomber though, coming in once more. Can it find another hit? It gets the Hammett, so at least a bit of supply damaged. HA going down as well, but the infantry even of Tonnoman currently is enough to push through here. No HE bomber coming around. We have a couple of power helicopters. The bigger issue, and I think the MVP unit for Tonnoman, being the really strong positioned TOW 2 in the north. That killed another Leo 2. That stops any push towards Echo. And yeah, that TOW 2, I believe, killed 4, 5, 6 tanks in this game. And this is just too much. That's the issue of German tanks. Their side armor leaves them super vulnerable. Even their front armor with the Leo 1s. And those TOW 2s can just absolutely murder you. Yeah, if we have a look here, it's quite insane. It's
not good.
It's
not good.
4 Leos and then a couple of Fuchs transports, 4 Fuchs transports and a Jaguar. Like, this was the MVP. This was what lost the game for stealth, because no recon to spot it efficiently, and also then no artillery or anything on target to kill the TOW 2 off. And yeah, it just killed too much. Doing the traits, keeping the traits equal. Like, if that TOW 2 would have only killed half the units, I feel like stealth could have had enough on the battlefield to win this game, but without it, it just wasn't there. And Tonno getting the W here in the end with 3rd US, keeping the combined arms throughout the game. And
Yeah,
Division
just
4 with it.
Oh yes, of course, winning Division 4, as you were saying. But yeah, just the smokes. Just use the smokes. Put the smokes up there. Force the enemy to drive their tanks closer, and create traps by laying in ATGMs and recon teams in a wide angle. Use the space. Create the ATGM concaves. If your enemy has an ATGM exerting fire control on your reinforcement route, don't use that reinforcement route. Move somewhere else. Mark it down for yourself so you remember to kill it with artillery in 2 minutes after your artillery has reloaded. Like, there are so many things that you can do, and in the gameplay in which people take their units and smash them against each other and to see which wins, the 3rd US is just gonna win basically every time. And there were chances, there were options, there were situations, especially with the cluster planes. Imagine a stealth with the stealth who built up a nice little blob of Leopard 1A5s and Leopard 2s, engaged with those Leopard 1A5s by firing smoke and pushing close by, doing crucial damage, and then immediately following up the close range tank push with a couple of cluster planes. Suddenly, the game could have gone completely differently. Suddenly, the tank advantage could have swung on the West German favor, and the tanks could just go and drive through and take more positions. Stationary TOW 2s can't really do anything about that if you get but if you stay still and you allow your enemy to keep repairing, allow your enemy to keep resupplying, and allow your enemy to take standard long-range tank fights, the leopards are gonna die. The leopards are gonna die. And TOW 2s for other divisions are a luxury that they can barely dream of. But with the 3rd US, you just get so many of them.
Yeah. So, yeah, well played here by Tonnoman. I'm really looking forward to seeing both of these players next season in Division 3, starting in September. Sign up will come up this weekend, guys, so don't you worry. We will get the sign up out there for League
Thank
Season
you, Cactus
2.
Jura, for following.
And yeah, also check out the WARNO Swiss Championship, and also check out Glorit, because he is not going anywhere. He is active on streaming as well. And if you haven't followed his Twitch channel yet, and you miss some more dialogue, some fantastic gaming in your life as well there, check out Glorit47 on Twitch and give our co-caster here a bit of love.
Yeah, you are not entitled to refunds if the Fantastic doesn't hold up. That's Protoss saying it, not me. But yeah, I'm right after this game. I'm actually immediately going back to ranked, trying to gain back some of the points that I lost earlier, trying to experiment with Rugener.
Yeah, we gonna do the same here, as I finally want to grind some ranked ladder as well. So yeah, thanks for joining me, Clorit. Best of luck with your grind.
Let's see who stream snipes who.
And yeah, see you guys all next time with some tournament action on the weekend, guys. 2v2 tournament. Sign up still open till Thursday. And let's get into the action here with some ranked after a really quick break.
And I'm playing 56 if you care. Bye-bye.